Island, New York, where the Dow Jones Industrial Average, along with all the other major indices, took it on the chinny chin today. The Dow giving up 800 points, and the S&P a comparable percentage amount. So we're going to take a look at the charts of the Dow and the S&P, along with a couple of biotechs, Amarin and CVM, that have been outperforming most of the small biotechs. Amarin, of course, had a setback, so let me rephrase that. Had been outperforming. Amarin, I think, will come back. The question is when and how much. So there was a new price target set by a brokerage house today at $26. Amarin selling in the $14 range, $15 range. So that leaves a lot of room on the upside. I think that gave the stock a boost today, and an otherwise sea of red. CVM was down today along with the rest of the market. So as always, for your own due diligence, my opinions are strictly my own and do not constitute investment advice. I'm going to share screen and let's see how that goes. And hopefully better than last week. By the way, last week I predicted the June 3rd lows on the Dow would mark an end to the sell-off. I think I'm going to stick to that prediction. We'll take a look at it anyway. So I'm giving away much of what's coming up. So we share screen. Oops, come on. Don't show these tips again. I don't care. All right. Share audio and share the screen. I'm trying, Luke. I'm trying. There we go. Be careful sharing the screen if you have a guest. No, I don't have a guest, but you're more than welcome to join me. JD, how you doing there, JD? This is pretty good. I get to see the comments right on my screen. Not bad, not bad. I want to get out of this and go into this chart for CVM. Let's see if I can. Yes, so I no longer can see the comments, but I can see it on my phone. So JD, we can chat. So can anyone else who happens to be catching me live. I think there are a few others. So if you have any comments, that's just great. I know JD had a comment. Let me get to the comments. Not sure how to do that. Well, there's a few people watching live and a few more coming on. Let me see. Now I got it. JD at 4:55 welcomes me with a big hello from Dallas, Texas. And very well, that's cool. Okay. JD is doing well. It's good to hear. A few other people that I'm in contact with through the vlog are also doing well, riding out the storm, so to speak. Vibrant Vixen, riding it out mainly in cash. A very astute trader. Dustin, how you doing? Dustin Bailey joining the chat. Nice. I don't remember Dustin being on the chat before. Good to have you, Dustin. Okay, so what's your concern, Dustin? Do you have any concerns regarding this sell-off, or you're good with do you kind of agree with Dr. J that it's going to be self-limiting? Maybe down as much as another 1,000 on the Dow, though. That still hurts. Cel-Sci is the first chart I want to look at, though. Cel-Sci is CVM. It made an assault today on the $9 level, which I tweeted out it would. So yesterday I tweeted out that we're going to get an assault on the $9 level real soon. It happened. We were rejected. We have a nice wall built up at $9, a wall of resistance. But that's all well and good. But if we get through that wall, we're going to have tremendous, tremendous upside. Someone is ringing my bell. They're not allowed to ring the bell during Dr. J at 11. I'm just going to close my door to the office. Keep in mind that this vlog is a very informal vlog. So if I get an interruption or two, so be it. I know there's a delay from what I say via StreamYard to what you hear on what you hear on YouTube, and the bell is continuing to ring. I hope you don't hear it in the background. But apparently, I'm getting guests. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to continue broadcasting. I hope you don't worry about it. Okay, so Dustin agrees. JD, Girl Scout cookie sellers. I like Girl Scout cookies, especially those s'mores. Is that what they're called? S'mores? They're pretty good. And they also have a good gluten-free cookie that is delicious, whether you're gluten-free or not. I was for a little while on that gluten-free kick, but I decided, nah, that ain't for me. Okay, so I mean, it's more of a fad for most people. Most people do not have celiac disease. I certainly don't. Uh-oh. That is a disturbance. And hopefully that'll be quieted down in a couple of minutes. I apologize for the background noise. Okay, so CVM made that assault on $9, was rejected. I think I tweeted out today that it's going to make another attempt at $9 very soon. I mean, it could be tomorrow, or it may pull back to the trend line that I have drawn here. So if it pulls back to the trend line, maybe at around 775, I think it'll still make another assault at the $9 level, coming up pretty shortly, within a couple of weeks at the latest. This time I think it goes through. So number 5 will be the charm to propel CVM through that $9 level. I tweeted out earlier that I thought it would be up $1 a month until we get a data readout. Now, the data readout could happen any moment, any day, any week, any month. My estimate 5 months ago, 6 months ago, was that it would happen in September. Now that we're almost up to September, I'm going to push that back by November. So my new estimate for the data readout is sometime in late Q4. So that's what I think. And until that point, we have a few months, 2-3 months, let's say. I think it could be up $1 a month. That would be $9 to 10, 10 to 11, somewhere in the 11s before the data readout. That's my guess. I mean, it's only a guess, although I do have reason to believe it'll go up, logical reason, not just technical, but the fact that we're waiting 298 events, and the advisory committee, the IDMC, advised that it continue until we get 298 events. And the longer it takes to get 298 events, the better it is, because the primary endpoint is that the drug extend life by more than 10%. over standard of care. And it would do that, presumably, by taking longer for this clinical trial to end. Okay, so making those assumptions, which I think are valid, I believe the CEO made the same assumptions. Time is on our side with this one, and the longer it takes, the better. Even though many of us are anxious to start raking in the big bucks. Well, we already raked in some pretty big bucks. Most of us have, most of us who have been in it for at least 6 months have been in it from below $4. So I think that's a pretty handsome profit, triple in some cases, or double at least. Okay, so I want to look at Amarin. Let's look at Amarin. We're going to get to the Dow and the S&P, but first let's look at Amarin, AMRN, another biotech that had a nice update today after a disastrous few days. So let's take a look at Amarin. I'm going to do a quote lookup right here. And last time we had trouble with these transitions in the amount of time it took. Let's see if that's still the case. Let's see. This time it was relatively quick. All right, not bad. So we see that although we had an announced delay in the FDA decision on expanding the indication for VASCEPA, VASC-EPA, the drug advertised on television, the fish oil drug. It's more than a fish oil. If I say fish oil, people get mad at me. But I'm not a chemist. I'm not a pharmacologist, a pharmacist, or any of those things. So to me, VASCEPA, it's all the same. It's basically a fish oil drug. Does more or less the same thing, but it is patent approved, and it has undergone vigorous clinical trials, and it showed in a very big trial over many years to prolong life for cardiac risk patients. So if this indication is expanded, the price will also expand from the highs at 22, 23. Let's see what this high was. 24. It'll go from 24 to pick a number. Tenfold? I don't know. Could it get there? Maybe. I mean, that would be a pretty big move, but anything is possible in biotech. That's one of the appealing things. I mean, more likely, it'll be taken out for like some number like $200 a share. Still pretty good. Maybe not tenfold, but eightfold. Okay. In the meanwhile, what could we expect? Well, in the meanwhile, I would draw. Let me just draw this horizontal line. Instead of saying would draw, I will draw a horizontal line right in here, the low before the drop, and another horizontal line to the high the day of the drop. By the way, the delay is just almost a formality. They're going to have an advisory committee opinion before giving their final okay. Now, this is not that unusual. So it's just a delay. It doesn't mean that they're not going to get approved. I don't think any more likely that they get approved or not approved than before this announcement. So I think this sell-off was unwarranted, at least to the extent that we had it. It doesn't mean it will be approved, but it isn't more likely that it won't be. That's how I view it. it's, very customary to have an advisory committee for the FDA before making a final decision. There are some questions regarding the control group and the use of, I think, mineral oil, which might have raised blood pressure in some cases, or raised cholesterol level. I'm sorry. I follow so many biotechs, I get confused sometimes. In any event, the devil is in the details, I suppose. Always good when you get into trouble to use a banal phrase like the devil is in the detail. All right, so we had a crossing of the 50 and the 100 back here on 7/24, and you would think that would have signaled a rally, but instead it signaled ultimately a decline. But notice we haven't yet crossed back, so maybe we get that rally still. I don't give up on Amarin, not at all. I didn't sell any, but I really truthfully thought about adding, but didn't. I might actually think about adding, more than think about it, I probably will add if it breaks this lower resistance line, the high of the day of the drop on 8/9, which was 1543. So break of 1543 is a tempting entry point, because for sure almost it'll be sucked through this vacuum to test the low of 8.5, which is 1637, which is like a 90-cent move. Not a big move, but it's still a move. I think I did the math right. Let's see. High of 1543. 1543 to 1637. About a 90-cent move, yeah. All right, but if it gets past that, then you're looking at big move up to the highs of 731, which is over $20, 2051. And that's really a nice target, 2051. If it goes past that, that means, probably means that we had a good data readout of the results, and not what we know the data readout. Probably means we're getting an FDA decision, and one that's favorable. I think if it goes above here, means it's going to go above the all-time high at 2391. So that's what I think. I think a break of this level, 2051, would imply automatically an all-time high will follow, or maybe on the same day. So I think it implies favorable news. I think we're limited until we get the FDA decision to this high at 2051. I think that would be the upper limit for any move of Amarin between now and FDA approval, hopefully. All right, let's take a look at, what's good to look at now? Let's take a look at the Dow. Why not the Dow? The Dow. Where do I have the Dow? Let's look at the SPX. Let's look at the SPX. Okay, so the SPX, I had drawn Fibonacci retracement levels, but for some reason they're gone. Somebody erased my Fibonacci retracement levels. In any event, I think we're heading to the June 3rd lows, a test of them, for both the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Averages. So we've got a ways to go if that happens. Of course, it doesn't have to happen. We have a nice little upward trend line forming with higher lows. So, I mean, it's possible that we've seen the end of the little sell-off, but I don't think so. I think we're going to find support at the 200 or at the June 3rd lows. 10% correction would imply, what is this high? 3,027, about 2,700. What's this low? This low is 2728. Yeah, I can see a little break of this low, hit the 10% correction level, and say, okay, we had our fun. Let's turn this thing around. By the way, did you read President Trump's tweet of how Powell is, what did he say? Did he say incompetent? Or a fool? I think he used a really strong language. I think he called him a fool. Powell, of course, is a Federal Reserve chair. Usually when Trump tweets these kinds of things about people that he's appointed, like Jeff Sessions and others, I mean, he appointed Powell as Federal Reserve Chair and ousted Yellen. It looks to me like he's going to oust Powell. I think Powell's days are limited unless he takes drastic action and cuts 50 basis points at the next Fed meeting. I don't think he will. So in my opinion, Powell's days are limited. I think he will become a Fed governor, and there'll be a new appointee. I think there's a woman that he likes a lot that's somewhat qualified. In any event, that's just my opinion, a little bit of political intrigue. I mean, I don't really get into politics much, but I try to read the tea leaves as it may affect the stock market. And I think removal of Powell as Fed chair would probably not be good for the markets. So I hope he doesn't take that action. Okay. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm just going to default for the time being, to the 200-day moving average, which did not hold today on the Dow, but may just hold on the S&P. And if it doesn't, I think the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement is just below that, right about where my cursor is here. So probably, I don't remember, 2750, something like that. The fib retracement of the entire move from December 24th, December 26th, whatever. So, I mean, I could draw it, but it would take a long time. So I don't think we quite get this low, but we stop just short of that 27.28 level. So I think we actually never make correction territory. We stop something at 9.5% correction, which is not a correction. It's just a market pullback, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go take a look at the Dow, and then we'll call it a night. Maybe I'll look at some more comments. Any more comments, guys? No more comments that I see. All right, so let's look at the Dow Jones Industrial Averages. All right, so the Dow, let me click on the Dow. And full screen. I like the improved quickness on StreamYard. My concern may not have been warranted the last time, first time I used it. We'll see how it comes out when the final product is, when I can look at the final product. Okay, so if you recall in my last video, I showed that the June 3rd low here, 24,680, was exactly the midpoint of the start of the upturn on December 26th to the high on 7/16. So this would be exactly the midpoint, 50% fib midpoint. So this is a very nice place for it to stop. I think it will challenge or stop just above it. Doesn't have to go through it. It could be a double low. I would love to see it make a double low, come down close to the low, but not quite there, maybe at the 25,000, 24,700 level. That would be perfect. So I'm calling for a 24,700 end of the Dow Jones Industrial Average sell-off. Would that put us in bear market territory? Very close. I mean, correction territory? Very close. You know what? Maybe I'll just let you do the math. 27.4 to 27 to 27.5, right? 20 to 25 to 25.7. So that's 300 and 2,000 is 2,300 and what was that high again? 400 is 2,700. 2,700 is almost exactly 10% of 27,364. So that's really a nice place for it to stop. It would be a 10% correction roughly, and then start moving back up. I really like this for an endpoint. I hope it doesn't get that far because it still means, it still means another 5 and 3, about 800 points lower on the Dow. Another 800 point day? No, I hope not. Maybe in a couple of days it might do it. 2 or 3 more days. I think this will be a short-lived sell-off. And I also want to talk about the inverted yield curve. I guess I'm done with this. So let me stop screen sharing. I'll come back to the big picture. Hopefully I'll come back to the big picture if I can find it. StreamYard. All right, that looks like it. Dr. J, you have to shave next time for your audience. Okay, I think I will. JD don't care, right, JD? Girl Scout cookie sellers. What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie, JD? Missing today is Greg. Greg, maybe this is a bad hour for Greg. Greg usually catches me live. All right. And Jigglypuff, he's been pretty good at catching me live. Jiggly's probably in pain. This has been a painful market. A lot of us are in pain. I'm just too numb to feel the pain. All right. So the inverted yield curve, the 2-year, it was actually higher during the day than the 10-year. I think it may have uninverted by the end of the day. I didn't check. But in any event, it's very close to the same. And that's considered a harbinger of recession within 2 years, within 24 months. But we only have 4 data points to check where this occurred. I think the year 2000 was the last one, probably, the dot-com bust. And before that, it was inflationary environments where the Fed was in tightening cycles to fight inflation. That certainly isn't the case this time around. So Dr. J is skeptical statistically of 4 data points. Doesn't really make for a convincing statistical significant argument to me. So will we get a recession within 2 years? Maybe. I think the average of those 4 was about 12 months. I don't think we're going to enter recession in 12 months, just my opinion. But who knows? I don't think this market rally is over. As I've said many times, hello, Jefferson. Are you with me on I'm saying we're going to go down at most another 800 points on the Dow. I think we turn this around, Jefferson. By the way, if anybody wants to come on live with me, you're welcome to. Say hi to the world, or at least to the 500 or so viewers that I normally get. Who knows? Maybe if you appear, we'll get 501 viewers. All right. Nobody wants to take me up on that. I think I would have to invite you. You'd have to, why don't you just request it and then I could try to figure it out. If not, I'm going to call it an evening. I talked about the inverted yield curve. I think more significant than the 2 and the 10 is the 90-day paper versus the 10. And I think that's still inverted. So, I mean, there is some cause to worry, even though I don't think it's statistically significant as a mathematician. It doesn't mean that it's insignificant. There's a difference. So this has been Dr. J, streaming live from Long Island, New York. I forgot to tell you about the weather. It's muggy, it's rainy, it's icky. The Mets play in Atlanta. They're looking to avoid being swept in hot, balmy Atlanta, Georgia, where the heat radiates off the ground, and the athletes are in the dugout with ammonia towels to cool off. Sort of sad, but they're in great shape. They can play in anything. All right, so that's it for tonight. See you all soon. Shalom, au revoir, sayonara, arrivederci, and ciao. And this time I'm going to remember to end broadcast. Last time I forgot. Bye all. And a reminder, if you want to subscribe, by all means, subscribe so you get notifications. And you have to, I think, not only subscribe, but hit the notify me bell or whatever it is. Okay, and also you can share the link, spread the word that Dr. J is a very informal, knowledgeable guy sometimes, who sometimes makes sense. Hasta la vista.